Alright, let's go ahead and let's get this all fixed now. And basically all mapped up in here. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna close that out for now, my material editor. You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just maximize this. And we're gonna work with this little guy here, or this whole tool set here. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in. I'm gonna make things a little bit easier right now. See that little box? I'm gonna go ahead and uncheck that. That way we don't, in case that checkerboard is getting in the way, you can just check that on and off. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to handle these over here because this is kind of a big mess. So I'm going to zoom up. Let's take these. I'm going to kind of move them somewhere over here. I'm going to start lining these up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and click on select element right there. So I can select the element, and so we got some that are stacked on top of each other. So I just want to make sure these are all stacked up on top of each other. Alright, let's go ahead and I'm going to highlight these because I'm sure there's two under it. I'm going to just put it right on top. Grab that one, put it right on top. Let's grab this one, put it on top. Like I said, you can even them out if you want, move them around, but like I said, this is kind of a simple box and we don't need to get too technical with the textures here. And the reason I'm stacking them is because they're all going to look the same, so I might as well just paint one texture on it and it basically handles all of them. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click that, and I'm going to go ahead and start rotating these. I'm going to stack these on top of each other. I'll eventually rotate them once they're all stacked. And I know it's a little painstaking process here. Alright, and let's go ahead and, let's just go ahead and throw those. Even though they're slightly bigger, doesn't matter. And I guess I should just go ahead and highlight that. Alright, now with that, I'm going to go ahead and rotate it now. So I got my rotate tool. I'm going to go ahead and highlight all these. Just rotate them. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and move them. And I'm going to stack them right on top of each other. So I got like 24 of those all stacked on top. And I'm just going to kind of move them off somewhere. Oh, looks like we got two more here. I'm going to grab those, which is probably 4 total. I'm going to go ahead and stack those on top of each other. And then I'm going to rotate those and stack them on top of right here. There we go. So we got all those on top of each other. And I'm just going to leave them right there. Now these guys, I'm going to go ahead and stack these on top of each other. There's one right there. And I'm going to grab those. Oops, want to make sure we're getting everything. There we go. And I'm stacking it right on top. Alright, so now these ones these are the main, these faces right here are the main part of the box or the crate. And I kind of want to keep these separate because I want to kind of individually paint these with maybe different textures, or maybe like biohazard symbols and maybe warning tapes or whatever. So I want these to be kind of opened. So I'm going to go ahead and fit these right within that. Do you see that box? There's like that blue dark cage, or indicating that that's our UV maps, our square map that we got to fit everything in. So whatever you usually want to have the most detail, you might want to keep big. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and highlight all these. I'm using my scale tool. I'm just going to scale these out, scale them up, or scale them down, I'm sorry, and I'm just kind of tuck them over here. At the same time, you can reposition these, maybe I want to put one over here, one over here, and then one over here. That's, it's up to you how you want to stack these. The idea is really to try to fill up most of the space as possible. And that's usually the key thing when it comes to painting your textures. You want to try to fill up this box as much as possible. So I'm going to take this now, and I'm going to go ahead and scale those down. Like I said, they don't need as much detail. You know, I'll probably place that right there. But I guess that's fine, you know. And then, you know what? Let's go ahead and grab these. And we're just going to, you know, I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down a bit. And I'll probably rotate it a little bit. That way. Alright, so there we go. You know what? I'm actually going to, you know, I want to position these better. So I got 6 here. I want to make these bigger. And I'm going to scale those up slightly. I'm going to move those about right there. And I'm going to grab all these guys. Whoops. Let's make sure we shrink these guys first. There we go. And I'm just going to put him down here somewhere in the corner. I want these to have a little more detail, so I'm going to make them quite bigger. Let's even go bigger than that. So I'm scaling these up. As you can see, I'm using my scale tool and then my move tool here. Alright, that looks pretty good. And let's go ahead and take these guys. I'm going to rotate them one last time the opposite way. Alright, I'm going to place it, and I'll probably shrink it down just a little bit. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to place that right there. So I got my whole UV map laid out. Now the interesting thing here is I'm going to go ahead and minimize this now so you can see what's going on. I'm going to zoom up. By the way, my middle mouse works like a pan tool in here as well. I want to pull this over to the side, and now you can see my box. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is, see this little checkered pattern here? Well, first I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. But even though we have checker pattern selected, I'm going to drop it down and click it again. And when you do that, it shows your UV map. And you want to try to get these checkerboards evenly spread out so you have no stretching or anything. And this is a box, so it's pretty simplistic. But I'm just going to show you how this works now. So look at the maps here. Maybe I want these to be a little bit bigger. I can grab those, use my scale tool here, maybe scale these out a bit. And as you can see, you know, they get smaller the more I scale them out, which you don't want to do that. So I'm going to Control Z. I'm just letting you know you can adjust your maps. I can make that even a little bit smaller. Alright, so that looks pretty good, you know. Alright, so once that's set, you know, feel free to, what we're going to do now is take a snapshot of this, of our UV coordinates. So I'm going to open this up again, and I'm going to introduce you to right here where you see tools. You're going to see render UV template. Now there's tons of other render map plugins. Like I use one called Textporter. It's old school, and it's a really good one. But to be honest, I think, you know, 3D Max has been really working on this a lot lately, and it's gotten a little better. So anyways, just go to your render UV template, click that, and this little box is going to open. It's going to ask you, hey, render UVs, what size you want to make it. You can go 2048, 1024, maybe 512 maps. What a lot of game artists do, they render out big maps, you know, maybe 2048s, and then paint on those, and then you know, and then they you know, resize them down to a smaller size, maybe like 512 or something. I'm not sure what the, you know, the map sizes that are required now for the games. They might be rendering out on 1024s now, maybe even higher. All right, well, you can click guess aspect ratio, but that's, you know, technically what I want is you know, let's go ahead and go 1024 by 1024. We want an even map. All right, let's go ahead and keep force two-sided checked. Right here is what I want to show you. You got different modes. So if I go to none, first of all, if I show solid and I render this out, you're going to see a map render out here in a second. Or, oh, it's right here. There it is. So there's a big map here. Let me kind of bring this down a bit so you can see. Alright, there's our UV map. But that's at solid, so I'm going to close that out. Also, you have normal. If I render that out, This is kind of like a normal version of our map. You know, that's pretty neat. And then of course you got your regular, you got shaded as well. I'm gonna render that out now. And then sometimes these help to indicate which side, you know, the map is, you know, which is the top and bottom, I suppose. The last one I'm gonna just check is none. This is the one I normally use. And you know, you can change your seam colors. I'm keeping them green. That's just kind of normal for me. And I'm gonna hit render. Alright, as you can see, we have our map now that we can take into Photoshop and paint on. Alright, so what I'm going to do here though is let's go ahead and save this image. And here you go, you can see it right here. I'm going to save image. And I'm going to place it in our texture map. Well, as you can see, I have one already saved before. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to call this unwrap crate. And you know, I'm going to give it a number 1 just to, you know, so I don't mix it with the other one I have. Alright, now here's what I'm going to save it out as. Not a JPEG though, but a PNG. Now you can save a JPEG, but this is what I'm going to show you. I like having the transparency of it. So we don't want to include the black with it. So I'm going to go PNG, save it, make sure your alpha's checked, keep everything else standard, and hit OK. Let's go ahead and close that out. I'm going to go ahead and close this out now. And you know what? If it helps, go ahead and right click and collapse it again. It doesn't matter. We already locked them in place. Now the next thing I'm going to do is open up Photoshop here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Photoshop. I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to look for that new PNG that we saved. This Unwrap Crate 1 PNG. I'm going to open that up. As you can see, it's transparent. We didn't bring in the black, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. I'm going to drop it right under here, and I'm going to fill that in black with my paint bucket. So I see my green lines on top of the black layer. So I'll just call this back. This one right here is our green wire. So I'm going to go ahead and double click that and call this wire. And then now I'm going to paint everything in between. So I'm going to lock my wire. I'll lock the back end. And then I'm going to create a new layer in between. And this is where I'm going to start texturing stuff. And that will be our next video here. Alright. Alright, we're going to go ahead and texture this now. As you can see, we got our unwrapped you know, PNG open here. Now before you start texturing, make sure you check what mode you're in. So since we save it as PNG, make sure you're in 8-bit, because usually it saves it to 16-bit. So I'm going to make sure it's at 8-bit, so double check. Alright, that way we can save out JPEGs afterwards. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and open up a texture. I got some collected here. As you can see, I have some previous maps already painted. But I got this wood crate here. I'm going to open it up. And as you can see, it's a pretty good looking texture. I'm going to go ahead and unlock it. I want to move this over here. And then from here, I'm just going to do a quick texture job here. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. You know, at least marquee what I want. And I'm going to go ahead and drag that over right into here now. Let's go ahead and scale that up a bit. So if I hit Control T, I can resize this. And I am going to place that right and somewhat fit it in there. Probably scale that in just a bit. Alright, there we go. Alright, and from there I'm just going to hit Alt and duplicate these over while I'm holding Shift to kind of keep things, you know, aligned properly. I'm going to come here and duplicate this one and shift it down. And, you know, maybe scoot that over a bit. I can Alt shift this one. Whoops. Let's go ahead and hit Alt, shift it over, or hold down Shift as I move it. There we go. Do it again. Alright, I can probably use my arrow just to nudge it over. Alright, so I got that all covered. As you can see, those are the center of the boxes that we mapped out, and that's what I want in the center. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and just drop this whole texture right here. Control T, and I'm going to match the outsides of that as best I can. We just want it to roughly, those sections be covered by, and let's see, let me apply that. Let me take my magnifying glass and zoom up here. Yeah, so I'm gonna Control T that, hit Control T, and let's make sure we're getting this lined up properly. Let's see, I want this to be right about there, and that looks about good, but now we want to bring this down somewhat to match that, and I guess that's about right. Something on the lines of that. I mean, you know, obviously we got some parts here we could probably make a little bit bigger. And keep, you know, that's alright, we can adjust those in the UV maps. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Let me scoot that over just a slight bit. Alright, from there, I'm going to apply that. And then I'm going to take this last section here. And we're going to go ahead and just copy that over. Get that little section, and I'm going to drag that right in here. Control T, and I'm going to rotate that around. And let's go ahead and resize that a bit. And I can probably pull that out slightly. Something like that. Maybe make it a little bit bigger so I don't want to skew it too much. Alright, now I hit apply there. Now from there, I see I got all these layers. I'm going to go ahead and select all those. And let's go ahead and right click it and just merge layers. There we go. We can call this wood texture or just wood part. Alright, now from there, if I wanted to, let's go ahead and close this out. I can add a few more textures, and you know, you can really get crazy and customize this as much as you want, but I'm just going to do a few things. I'm just going to create a new layer. Let's go ahead and go File, Open, and I got this toxic right here. I'm going to go ahead and just drag that in here. You know, I'm going to hit Control T and, you know, maybe resize this a bit, and let's I'm going to place it on this one. Somewhere right there, and then I'll start working with my blend modes. So selecting that layer, go to my blend modes, and just darken. Looks pretty good. Let's go darken. Alright, from there, let's reposition that. That looks pretty good right there. Alright, from there I might put a layer mask on it so I don't destruct the image. I'm going to take me a paintbrush here and get me some kind of custom grunge paint. Something like that. And you know what, I'm going to go ahead and kind of damage that up a little. I got my opacity set to 47. I'm just going to kind of dabble in there just so to break it up. You know, there we go. That's pretty cool. You know, and if you want, you can actually, you know, get some more paints or whatever you're trying to paint in here. I got some splats or something. You know, maybe I want to you know, paint some kind of dirt texture, or get some other, you know, some other textures I can throw in here to dirty it up. Maybe I want some smudge, and then let me grab some more. Let's get some of these paints here, some grunge, you know, just to dirty it up a bit. There we go. That looks pretty cool. Let's change it up. Alright, and we'll go something like that. No, we won't paint that one. Right there. Alright, so there goes my my custom painting here. Now all I'm going to go ahead and, you know, if I want I can name that, let's call that grunge. And this obviously is our toxic sign, and I don't think we have anything in this layer, so I'm going to delete that. Alright, now from there, let's go save out our JPEG. So I'm going to click on here, hide that. Well, you don't want the wire, the green wire to show. We're just going to hide that. File, save as, and we'll call this JPEG. And I'm going to call this new crate diffuse. I'm going to save that out. Alright, so if we go back to 3D Max now, and if I go to any kind of blank shader here, and this is one out of block here, if I click on that, and go to my diffuse, bitmap, and I'll look for that new, I called it new crate, right here, new crate diffuse. I'm going to open that up, and as you can see, if I double click here and show it in block form, you can see the texture on there, and there goes our custom paint job. I'm going to go to our parent level, show maps and viewport, and then as you can see, there it is. Or, you know, here, I'll just actually drag it on there. Let me drag a blank one on here. Oops. Oh, why can't I grab that? Let me collapse that. Yeah, let me drag a blank shader on there and then a blank one on here as well. Not sure why I can't grab that one. Let me hide him. And let's go ahead and hide unselected, Z up on him, and I'm just going to drag a blank shader. So basically, just to start over so I can show you how that worked, I'm going to pick any blank shader here, and I'm going to go ahead and drag that shader on there. Not that we need to, but the minute, you know what, yeah, the minute I go ahead and throw my bitmap in here, and I throw that new crate diffuse, open it, show maps and viewport, it's going to be on that one. And then as you can see, we have our texture on there. I'm going to go ahead and render that out. Alright, now from here, I'm going to show you how we can adjust certain things on the fly.